Hello everyone, this is Calvin, Professor C here. Haven't talked to you guys for a few months now, but I really want to make this video because there are a lot of change coming up because the federal budget just announced a few days ago, and it has quite a lot of information and quite a lot of policy that is impacting the mortgage industry as well as the real estate industry. So I am going to just give you some idea of what is coming. So let's go. So first of all, this is the federal budget 2024. It has a lot of information. I am just going to give you a few of them that is impacting the real estate industry and the mortgage industry. Okay, so one of the most important one is the capital gain inclusion rate increase. So what happened is, if you look at the screen, most of you may know that if you make capital gain during the year, you are going to include only 50% or half of the gain into your income that year. The other half is tax free. You just pocket it yourself. So just in case you do not know what is capital gain, is an increase of value over time. So let's say you buy a house at $200,000 and now you sell at $1.2 million, you make a capital gain of $1 million. Just in case you do not know what is capital gain. So increase of value for an investment or product or house. Okay. So normally for that, you only include half of the gain into your income. The other half is tax free. Now, with the new inclusion rate increase, the first $250,000 has no change. Still, half of them is tax free. But any amount that is over and above $250,000 gain, it is only 1/3 is tax free. You have to include 2/3 or 66% of it into your income. Now you may think to yourself, "Wow, this is confusing." Don't worry, I have an example in the next slide that tell you everything about it. Okay, so you just have to understand that anything above and beyond $250,000 is now you have to pay more tax. Okay. I am going to come back to tell you a little bit of strategy that I think would be beneficial to your client. But let's understand the inclusion rate first. So this is the example. Okay. So using this example, the original purchase price is $200,000, and you sold the house at $1.2 million. So you make a capital gain of $1 million. Okay. Now the first $250,000 gain, again, just like before, is 50% inclusion only. So the other 50% is tax free. So you only need to include $125,000 into your income for that year, for that portion. The rest of the gain, which is 1 million minus the original, the beginning 250, is 750. That portion, unfortunately, you will need to include 66% of that into your income for that year. So that is $495,000, which is 750 times 66%. Okay, so in total, how much you need to include in that year's income? It would be 125 plus 495, which is $620,000. Okay. Now, the highest tax bracket in Canada is about $50,000. So assume that you are in that category, which you should. You need to pay $310,000 tax. Okay, you need to pay $310,000 tax on that. Compare that to the before the change, $1 million capital gain only need to include $500,000 into the income, and if you are paying 50% tax, that means you need to pay $250,000 tax. So because of the change, you need to pay $60,000 more tax. Is it a lot? Yeah, I would say so, but compare that relative to the gain of $1 million, it's not a lot, but still, it is something. Okay. Now, couple of things you need to keep in mind. We are talking about house, right? We are talking about selling a real estate, but capital gain is more than just real estate. If you buy a Tesla stock and sell it and make $1 million, that also include in your $1 million, that also included in your capital gain for that year. So if you sell a house and make $700,000, and then if you sell your Tesla stock and make $300,000, that also the math would be the same, right? So don't forget, it's not just buy and sell of real estate. It's stock, other things that include in value. Those are capital gain also. Now that you know how what happened to the change of the capital gain inclusion, what are some of the strategy? So let's look at it. So first of all, the capital gain inclusion, the $250,000, that one is net of your current year loss, right? Capital loss, as well as capital loss from previous years and other years, right? So what happened is, let's say you make $1 million in selling of your real estate, but then you lost $300,000 in your Tesla stock, right? You are not actually making $1 million. You're making $700,000 only, right? And also, just in case you do not know, capital loss you can carry forward into the future years indefinitely. So one of the strategy I think you could utilize is, if you know that you are going to sell an investment property next year, for example, but this year you lost a lot of money in your stock, in the stock market. You have a lot of capital loss this year, but you plan to sell your investment property next year, and you know that you're going to make a lot of money because of the selling of the property. You could defer that capital loss and claim it next year, and that would give you a better, less taxable income, right? You have to pay less tax. Let's put it that way. So this is one strategy that I think you could utilize, and you could tell your client to utilize. But obviously, ask them to consult an accountant, because we are not accountant. But I think this works, right? Ask them to confirm with their accountant. Another thing that I think you need to realize is the sale of principal residence still do not pay any capital gain tax, right? In case you do not know, right now, if you buy your principal residence at $200,000, you sell at $1.2 million, the tax you have to pay is what? 0. Okay? And it still is after the change. So you still pay zero tax on that. Okay, so principal residence, you still do not need to pay any tax. Okay, also there is a rules that came January 1st, 2023, and that is if you buy and sell a property within 1 year, it does not treat as capital gain. It treats as business income. So what that means is every single dollar, 100% inclusion rate, right? So using the same example, you buy at $200,000, you sell it at $1.2 million. If you buy and sell within 1 year, right? Within 365 days, all $1 million will include in your income, and you have to pay $500,000 tax. Compare that to this $310,000. So you pay a lot more tax if you sell it within a year. And that also include the principal residence. So if you buy your principal residence now and sell it a month later, sorry, you do not you still have to pay tax. Let's put it that way. You still have to pay tax. So buy and sell within 1 year, no matter what, you still have to pay tax and 100% inclusion. Okay, so that was a policy that introduced in 2023. Okay, so that you have to keep in mind. So that's all about capital gain. Also, one more strategy I think would be useful is if you plan to sell 2 investment property or sell stock this year and sell 1 investment property, you might want to wait for a year, right? You might want to wait for a year. Or if a lot of our clients would, let's say they have a property pre-construction that they know is going to close in, let's say, 2025. And they need to sell some stock, and they need to sell an investment property in order for them to have the down payment for this new coming pre-construction closing. You might want to tell them that, hey, you might want to sell the stock and the investment property in a different year. For example, you might want to sell the stock in 2024 and the investment property in 2025. That way, you don't accumulate all the capital gain in 1 year. You separate it in 2 years, and that might lower the tax that you have to pay. Now, again, we are not investment expert or tax expert, but you can throw this idea to your client and ask them to confirm with their accountant as well as consult with their investment advisor to see if those are the better idea. But I think that's another strategy that you can come up with, right? And you can tell your client. And again, hopefully by telling your client, and if they save some money, they will remember you. And if they remember you, the next time they want a mortgage or they want to buy and sell a house, they will come back to you. Okay. There are 2 more things that, other than capital gain, I think is worth talking about because it is affecting the real estate industry and the mortgage industry in the budget, and that is the amortization. So, if you do not know, back then, before the change of the budget, if you need to buy a property and your down payment is less than 20%, you might need to buy a CMHC insurance or high ratio insurance, and the maximum amortization for that mortgage would be 25 years. Any insured mortgage, maximum amortization is 25 years. Now, the government want to help some first-time buyer to qualify for the mortgage easier and lower their monthly payment. They changed the rules and said that if you are a first-time home buyer and if you are purchasing newly construction home, now we have to look at this. This is only pre-construction. These rules only apply to pre-construction. You could qualify for a 30 years mortgage amortization. That means your monthly payment will be lower, and that also means that you will be qualifying for the mortgage easier. So I think the impact for this is more first-time buyer would look into buying new construction, pre-construction homes and condos because of the rules change. Because if you do not qualify, then that means you cannot buy. Some people will say, okay, well, if I don't qualify to buy a resale home, but the bank can qualify me for a mortgage if I buy a pre-construction, okay, I will take it, right? And they will buy some pre-construction. So that's good news for pre-construction builder and developer, because I think this would move some first-time buyer to buy pre-construction instead of resale. Okay, so that's first thing. Now, there's another things in the budget that is impacting the real estate industry, and that's the home buyers plan, the first-time home buyers plan. Now, before the change, you could withdraw up to $35,000 from your RSP for the purpose of buying your first home. And when you withdraw, you do not need to pay any tax. Okay, and it doesn't count toward your income for that year. Now, it has increased to $60,000, right? So if you save up a lot of money in your RSP and you want to withdraw it, this is good news. This almost double the allowance for the withdrawal limit. So I think for people who are saving money in their RSP and now want to take some money out to buy the home, this is also a good news. It does help. There are a few other things that, over the last few years, the government have introduced to help the first-time buyer, as well as help some people buying the house easier. For example, the first home saving account, which I have another video that I made previously talking about that. It helps also, this RSP home buyers plan. You can have tax-free saving account. A lot of those are good news for some, home buyer. And you can look it up in detail, and then you can understand how it all combines and works well together. Okay, so anyway, this has been a long video. I hope, by the time if you watch it all the way here until here, thank you for watching my video. I think this budget is good for first-time home buyer. I think this budget has, you can utilize some strategy for the capital gain inclusion increase. So all of this news, you can pass it to your client, whether you are a mortgage agent or real estate agent, and hopefully letting them know all about this, and you will gain some loyalty from your client, and next time they will come back to you and come back to you for your mortgage or real estate need. Okay, so until next time, I will talk to you soon.